Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023, at 9:30 a.m., and this is the monthly meeting of the Council on Aging Board. The board adheres to the open meeting law, and Robert's Rules of Order are followed during these meetings. I'm Jean Campanello, chairperson of the board. In attendance are Harley Lucht, director of the Senior Center, Renee D'Argento, outreach coordinator, Casey Bogan, the assistant director. Welcome.
Thank you.
And board members, Judy Goodstein, vice chairperson, Lori Jones, secretary, Betsy Zug, Alex Roman, Minu Sharma, and our newest board member, Raquel Kleiman Wexler. Welcome. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We usually have a representative from the Friends, although today I do not see anyone in attendance. So let us start our meeting by calling the meeting to order and reviewing and acting to accept the June 23rd minutes. Are there any comments, corrections, additions, or deletions? Yes.
I noticed, at least on the copy I had, that there were like some question marks.
Lori?
Is that, yeah, if you can
Actually,
speak to that.
what happened was, I had, and I want to thank Casey for filling it in. There was one that went out after we went out with the agenda, and the one that went out with the agenda actually was filled in by Casey. I had 2 deaths in the family this summer, and so she was taking over for me. I had it already outlined, the beginning and the end, and then she filled in the middle, so I wanted to publicly thank you also. And so that was the one that was, this one that's full actually came out with the agenda that Holly sent with all of the different items, as opposed to the one that just went out in the email.
So I'm on the agenda email, so there is a, there was an attachment.
There you go.
Aha. Okay, the one that went out with the original email does not have the
What date
question marks.
was it?
Holly's email, I was just on it, hang on. September 7,
7?
yeah. And the title of the email is September Agenda. Okay. Thank you.
Motion to accept the minutes? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Next is to review and act on financial reports.
Yep. I'm going to turn that over to Casey.
Ah,
So I just want to add, the Jam board right now is the most updated as of this morning, so we're going to review that with you, because I know we had attached the FY '23 and FY '24, but we'll just review this one with Casey, and then if anybody has any questions.
So we have our salaries all here, as per usual. We'll go down to
Totals
total.
Which one am I looking
should be highlighted.
It's jumping.
Uh-oh, we are
at? You
disconnected.
lost your screen.
Check your HDMI.
It's back up. Sorry about that. So our total for Council on Aging Other, is that the salaries? I might need your help with this
Yes.
review.
But
Sorry.
For now, just go over the, so each highlighted item on it, and then you'll scroll down and do the available balance.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is for the general fund
Mhm.
down here. And if we go to,
This should all be highlighted. There we go.
all right, there we go. Total available budget for the general fund is 289,147 and 22 cents. Our
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know where you are, I'm sorry.
It's very difficult to follow.
Yeah,
I went through yesterday, whatever I got. So if you can tell us what page it is, or maybe
Okay.
recommend to have the budget actually in hard copy. I have it on my screen, but I don't know where you are.
Okay.
And I don't know where you are here, so I'm sorry.
So let's skip the one that we did today,
Okay.
okay? Never mind, because it's hard to, they can't see it from the, on the boards from here
Okay.
anyways.
All right, so,
Unless you enlarged it.
There's a larger
Oh, there you
board
go.
behind you. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Larger screen.
I still can't see it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a little.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ah.
Ah,
that
that's
works
much
better.
better.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's hard to see down
Yeah,
here.
that's too
Yeah.
small.
Can we do the same with that
Yeah,
board?
I'll do this one.
All right, so I'm just looking at the highlighted.
Okay?
So the total available balance for the general fund is the 289,147.22. And this is all for fiscal year 2024. Our Elder Affairs grant or our formula grant. This is all the details here.
Wait.
And scroll down, I just want to get to the total.
Can I just ask what page you are on? That was a good question, because it's actually easier if I can follow along.
So this one, you do not have the page on.
Oh, we
This is
don't
the-
have it.
Yes,
Okay.
you do not have a copy of this. We just.
Oh,
did
this is the
Okay.
No,
updated.
we just did this
Ah,
this morning
okay.
because
Okay.
accounting just finished the FY '23
All right,
rollover.
Thank you.
okay.
So the current total available balance for the formula grant is the, and now it popped out again.
Hey, we're in the black.
you got
That's
Okay.
So go, we've got this one over here.
Yeah, so it's 25,326.
Is,
So let me,
that's the formula grant?
yeah.
Does that include the new?
No. So what happens is, and let me just give you a little background on the formula grant. So the formula grant funds, actually, we never received them until like January or February. But the town does allow us to go ahead and we can spend that money, even though we don't have it yet.
But that doesn't include the anticipated increase in the formula grant?
Right, so this was the FY '23 rollover is what this
Okay,
is.
okay.
Okay, so this does not include, so this year for the formula grant, we went from $12 to $14,
Right.
which will bring us up to 120,946, I believe is what it is. So you'll have that 25,000, and then you will add another 120,000 to
Okay,
that.
okay.
And that's what we will have,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. So I'm going to keep scrolling. Apologies that everyone, I don't know why the other screens are not working. No, that one is, there
There
they
it is.
go.
It's back.
So this, we're skipping the transportation.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is the line item budget, not the, obviously the sheet that has just the totals on it.
You've got a question?
Sure.
Do you want to make it?
The formula grant accumulates and goes to the following year?
Yes, so, once COVID came, it kind of changed the way Executive Office of Elder Affairs, what they expected for us to do with the grant. Before, we used to have to spend it down to the last penny. Now we're able to roll over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So now we're at the gift fund, which, scroll down a little bit more. I'm really glad I brought my mouse. Total for that is 21,415.33. The revolving account.
Just back for a second, were there any expenditures in the gift fund this month?
No.
No.
We haven't had any expenditures in the gift fund since the middle of FY '23.
Okay.
We've been using the formula grant for everything.
What kind of increase, are there increases? Are
So, yep, so I don't think that we've received many deposits for FY '24 because that started on July 1. But most of our deposits that we receive in there have been in memoriam.
Okay,
So where it says total expenses 37,008 and whatever, that's not this fiscal year.
No,
Last fiscal
that's
year?
from last year.
23?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the revolving.
Yeah, and then the revolving account. We are
There we go.
$17,899.02.
So, if I might, one of the things that I've been working with Casey is to come up with some ideas, because now that we're fare-free, and we don't really have any revenues coming in our revolving account in which we pay the van driver salaries, that drive our town-owned vehicles and the maintenance of those vehicles. So Casey and I have been working on different kinds of opportunities where we could deposit money into that account so we can start paying for the salaries. One of the things we decided to do was come up and create that Artisan Expo for the month of December. So any money that we take in for booths there at $25, we'll take that money and put that right into the revolving account.
Okay. Questions?
Can we get a copy of that? Because I'm actually, it's completely different numbers.
Yes,
It's,
yes. And the reason why there were different numbers, because in the email that I sent you before, they weren't expected to have the closeout today, that you were supposed to take the FY '23 available balances and then put them with the FY '24. And I know that's confusing, but we will certainly email this to you right after the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
So the grand total numbers at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
that includes FY '23 then still?
I honestly, Alex, and I can't answer that because, you know, that.
Just looks big.
Yeah, I honestly don't know the answer to that. I don't know if maybe we can get somebody from accounting again to come in and kind of just walk us through it, because I know Amy had come in, I think it was like 6 months ago or something. And again,
That was helpful.
yeah, and these
It
budget
was.
sheets are difficult to look at.
Right.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
Yep. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the election of officers. And we will start with chairperson. And I would just like to indicate I will not be a candidate for that office. So I am opening the floor to whomever.
I have-
Judy,
I nominate Alex as chairperson.
is there a second?
Second.
Are there other nominations? All in favor of Alex as chairperson? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Congratulations. Next office is vice chair. Nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Jean.
Are there other nominations?
But you need a second?
Wait, I do need a second, yes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I will be there when you cannot be, Alex.
Thank you.
And
Look
our
forward to it.
other office is secretary. Nominations.
If I might interrupt for a moment. So one of the things we had discussed back in FY '23 was when we got the assistant director to come on, that person was going to take the minutes. I would like to propose, instead of having a secretary, that when Casey takes the minutes, she shares it with either the chair or the vice chair to kind of look over. But what I would like to propose is that we come up with a new position. So when we come up with activities, so like, for instance, the Heroes Awards, or the multicultural event or anything like that, I have somebody to go to kind of throw those ideas out on behalf of the board and, you know, take suggestions from a board member about any programs that we come up, especially that any programs that would have any kind of expenses to them. I don't know what that position would be called, but it was just a suggestion.
Yes,
I have a question. Didn't we have an activities committee?
yes, I thought we
Yeah,
had
right.
but we could make that a position, an activities director, rather than, well, I guess the chair of the activities committee, or,
Right.
yes, but we could certainly incorporate that. I do think, though, we need to continue with the role of secretary because it's in our policies and
Oh, okay.
procedure.
Okay.
And we could certainly adapt the role
Mm-hmm.
and proceed as you suggested.
Okay.
But we do need to maintain that role as the structure of the board.
I was asked at the beginning if I was still interested in being secretary. I'm willing to do that, but if somebody else is all excited and would like to do that, I'm more than happy to have them nominated, because I think we were just working out a relationship, Nancy and I were, for how we would play off of each other. But it's up to you all, and there will be no hurt feelings at all.
I'd like to nominate Lori for
I'll second that.
All in favor? Are there other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you again.
So we can look at, Betsy, you chair the Activities Committee,
Arun and I co-chaired.
but he's no longer on the board,
That's right.
correct?
I would propose that Betsy and I work together. If you wanted to keep that position, instead of having a committee, it could just be a position where you and I would collaborate on ideas.
I think that's a great idea.
Oh, can I just say something? I think you're the chair, I guess, of the Activities Committee, as the only member of the Activities Committee. So why don't we have, going forward, whoever the chair of the Activities Committee, because if it's not Betsy, there will presumably be someone else on the Activities Committee going forward, so the chair of the Activities Committee takes on that role.
Lori?
I agree, because we had just finished finalizing the guidelines for this year with the official positions, and there's always an option for committees and committee chairs, however we decide
Okay.
as a board to do that. So I think that probably works out as long as Betsy's willing.
It's a committee, not an office.
It's a committee, not an office,
Yes.
unless
But as
unless
the
you really.
chair of the committee,
I
if
think-
there's a committee, we don't need to change the policies and procedures
Right,
because we do allow for committees.
yes.
So we can have the chair of that committee who reports on a monthly basis. It can be an ongoing committee.
Sounds good.
So we really then don't need to do anything about a formal
Right.
vote on that.
Yep.
Okay. Terrific. All right, let's move forward. Renee, the scholarship.
Okay. So I presented this scholarship program to Holly, and this was as almost like a continuation that we're hoping to support caregivers in furtherance of the grant that we had for the respite program. So instead of continuing on with the respite program that we had that was grant funded by MCOA, which would require hiring facilitators and having all kinds of complications that way, we decided that we would like to support caregivers with a respite scholarship. And the scholarship would entail having caregivers register with me, the outreach coordinator, and as proposed, they could use the scholarship up to $1,000, depending on the types of respite that they hired, whether it would be paying a person per hour to give them relief in the home setting, or at a day health facility, which is a bit more expensive. And I had proposed $5,000 for that budget, but I would like to request that if we have a lot of Shrewsbury or a lot of residents or people who are caring for seniors over age 60, Shrewsbury seniors, that we potentially go up to $10,000 if we have a demand for that service.
Under which account would you withdraw those funds?
I guess that's to be determined. I don't know if, I think it would be the formula grant.
The formula grant?
Yes.
Renee, is there criteria established for eligibility?
So the person would have to be caring for a senior age 60 and over. I did originally say that we would prioritize people who were receiving benefits, such as, SNAP or fuel assistance or anything like that. And after discussing it with Holly, trying to assess that kind of criteria, if there was such an income eligibility, might be a little bit difficult and invasive. And, we want to support all caregivers of, seniors in Shrewsbury. So we thought that it might be better to just keep it open to whomever would want that.
Yes.
Are they required to be Shrewsbury residents?
Yes.
The senior and the caregiver, both?
Actually, the senior, yes. The caregiver, that's a question, because in our respite program, we did have a couple of people who lived out of town who were caring for Shrewsbury residents. So I guess some guidance there might be.
I just think we need to establish a policy.
Yep.
Lori?
So, once the grant is given, would they need to submit receipts to prove that they use?
Yes, they would have to submit receipts. Mm-hmm.
I think that possibly if that's already established, then even if somebody outside, if they're providing the receipts to show that it was for that person at that address, I don't know how you would do that. I think that might answer the question,
I
do you
don't-
think?
I guess I'm pretty much neutral either way. I just think we need to, if you're giving out that kind of money, you need to establish who's eligible for it.
Right. So the people would have to register with me, so I would have to know in advance who the resident, the Shrewsbury resident is, and who the caregiver is, the relationship, that sort of thing.
But it doesn't need to be, it needs to be a caregiver person. They don't have to, doesn't need to be a relationship between the two of them.
Oh, I don't mean relationship in the sense of being related.
Family,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Okay. There were questions over here, yes.
I'm not so sure I know too much about the respite, so I might ask some questions that might not be relevant. So will it be 10,000 per year? Per how many respite caregivers would it be given? What's the maximum per person? And is there guidance? What is the approved or acceptable expenses that they can spend? And what is it different for the caregivers? Why are we thinking about it? I might have missed something. Why are we looking for the caregiver compensation? It's a paid position?
Okay, so
I'm sorry. I'm
So,
missing something.
if I can remember all your questions, it would be running through the fiscal year
Yeah,
of 2024, so that's June 30th, the program would end. And of course, we would assess and see if we would want to renew it thereafter. So it would be a maximum amount of $1,000, and that would be determined by me depending on the type of care that they hired. So if, for example, during our respite program, we had outside respite services in addition to at the senior center. So we had people who actually used funds for day health services, which is more expensive. And we also had others who used expenses to pay a person per hour, and that was at $15 per hour. And we also had another person who went to the Northborough Senior Center and had their person attend a day health there. And that was for a donation of $15 total for 3 hours. So there are different models that could be serviced under this.
thank you.
And the maximum would be until the funds were expended, actually.
I think Alex had a
I
question.
think we do need some clear guidelines, though. I could see someone saying, well, my senior wants to visit relatives, off in some faraway place and spend the whole $1,000. Would that be okay?
That could be okay, sure. I mean, there are people who use respite, such as in a nursing home where they drop them and they have them there for a whole weekend so that they could go away. It could be that they had somebody go with them to attend to their needs while they were away together. So, yeah, it could include that.
Judy?
As far as the caregivers who are asking for the respite, are we including paid caregivers?
No, because paid caregivers would be paid by an agency. So typically that's attached to elder services or something like that.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So the respite money is for the caregiver.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
I would agree with Alex a little bit. I think we need to have some kind of criteria established for how we
What's allowed?
monitor the monies that are going out, or who's eligible. And
Yeah, so the criteria as proposed, which could change, is anyone could submit receipts up to $1,000. Now, that can be established as we go along. For example, during the grant program, I didn't know how many caregivers would require or would request using outside funds for outside respite. So initially, because I was trying to preserve money, initially I would tell people, okay, you can use up to $300 for this. And then as time went on, during the mid-grant period, when I knew that funds weren't being expended, I raised it to $500,
Okay.
kind of incrementally.
And how long did that grant continue?
So that was from January 20th until June 16th.
And how much money got used up, Renee?
So the grant was for $8,000, and the funds that were used were just under $7,500.
Okay, so you're using like $1,000 a month, more or less.
Well, that was kind of different because we covered meals. We also covered educational materials that were used, marketing. I mean, it included a host of things. What was devoted to caregivers to use in respite, I'm trying to think of the number because I don't have it off the top of my head. Depending on if you included the outings, because I was trying to use up some of that money for the lunches because it was overestimated for different reasons. We had some outings that for the last two off-site with caregivers and their care recipient. It was, and then we also gave gift cards for medical supplies.
Uh-huh.
So it was kind of complicated in that because there were a lot of, that was under the supplies that we were trying to use the money. I really can't give you that number right now. Yeah.
Alex?
So I guess I'm concerned about accounting controls and who audits this grant, the state?
It's not a
do they-
grant.
It's not a grant.
It's not a
Oh.
grant. We'd be using formula grant money.
Right, but who audits that formula grant money?
I don't.
Holly does.
guess-
So, yes, I'm the one in charge of where the money goes.
So
I understand,
as a
but-
board, we oversee the expenditures of the formula
Right.
grant.
Okay.
But Renee will assess it. You will assess if they qualify.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Holly's sign off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Renee's proposal to me was originally, so it's the 5,000, she proposed $5,000. And then she said, well, what's going to happen if we get more than that? And I said, well, if we get more than, because that would be 5 people at $1,000 apiece. Or it could be more if it was a little less, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting, I don't know what to expect. Who knows who will come out of the
Right.
woodwork? What I found with the respite program is that not that many people sought outside respite services. They wanted to attend at the senior center. What I would expect is that people would not be going up to the $1,000 because they wouldn't be using day health services so much as hiring people at home. It could be friends, relatives, themselves. Day health services, it gets a little bit more complicated for people because the one person who did use them, it took several months to get that person even settled because they had to go through this enrollment process and medical records and all of these things. And then they had to transition their person. I mean, I think originally they weren't going to be going for a full day, that they were going to be going for a half a day. So, there are a lot of factors that could enter into that.
So what's your rationale for proposing this program versus maintaining the respite care at the senior center?
Well, I would love to have maintained the respite care at the senior center. It would take some time to get the program up and running with hiring 2 facilitators. You need 2 for at least 10 to 12 people. And one of them should be dementia certified, because what we found, I was hoping that we would have different types of caregivers of even physical disabilities, but most people who seemed to be attracted to the program were persons who were caring for people with dementia. And also what we found is they tended to be people who were beyond the early stage of dementia, because people in early stages tend to be higher functioning. So,
So would this service those individuals with dementia who are unable to involve themselves in the memory cafe?
oh, they are,
They
actually half of the people served by the respite program were people from the Memory Cafe.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. So,
Alex?
I guess I certainly support the idea in general as a concept, but I guess I'm uncomfortable with some of the details and how it might play out. And I don't want either of you to get caught in a bind because someone else second guesses. And I guess I find it hard to believe the formula grant isn't audited. I mean, you're not serving an audit function.
Right. So, I mean, with any grant, it could get audited. The way that Executive Office of Elder Affairs has pointed us, I guess, in the right direction is anything that has to do with the quality of a Shrewsbury senior, whatever decision that might be, would be up to our department. So that could include financially supporting our caregivers. That's one of the, besides us and Elder Services of Worcester and every other Council on Aging department, caregiving is such a mental and physical and expensive, if you will, what's the word I'm looking for?
Burden?
Yes.
But, yeah,
Resources.
of all of that, yeah.
yeah.
And then there are people as Renee's outlined, it can be very expensive to the family members, and a lot of them can't afford those kind of things. So what we could do, Alex, is we could put a different kind of, another MOU, if you will, for this particular proposal, if you can write up a memorandum of understanding so we have a better kind of outline of where the money is going to go with more specifics. And then we can look at it again in October.
Right. Judy mentioned criteria, and we've talked about process, but not criteria. And
Right.
I think we do need
Okay.
some criteria.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I did outline a little bit of criteria in there, but I could get more specific with that, yeah.
Yeah, because in reading this, I think the criteria is almost incorporated into your goal statement and what you'd like to see as outcomes. And I think you did a great job writing this up.
Thank you.
Great skills with that, but I think if you're going to do a bit more, the other thing we could do, Alex, in terms of looking at your concern about oversight, is to label it a pilot program and maybe look at it again after a completion, one-term completion,
Yeah,
to determine whether we move forward or stop it.
Okay.
I fully expected that, definitely, yeah. And again, I think it's important, as I learned with the MCOA grant, and I'll put this in an MOU. This part, I don't know how it would be written in stone, but so when a caregiver comes to me and they want to be served by a respite program, I'm the one who tells them, based on what their needs are and what services they're going to request, the type of services, I'm the one who determines how much they're going to get up to. And it's not strictly saying to them, oh, you can use up to $1,000. I'm going to tell them what kind of budget they have at the outset. So, and then redetermine that depending on, as time goes on. And that's how I conducted the respite program.
Other questions, comments? So why don't we postpone making a decision on this until we have a little bit more data, and we'll take it up at
Okay.
our next meeting,
Sounds good?
okay?
All right.
Thank you. Do you have other?
Yeah, so I guess,
Of course you do.
yeah. So, of course, the heating season will be upon us, and people are starting to receive their SMOC, Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council, applications for fuel assistance. And I've already had some people who came to me and expressed concern that they haven't received their renewal applications yet. And I guess I expect that because of the many more thousands, I think they had a 30 to 40% increase in applications last year because of the cost of heating had gone up so much that they're probably slowly getting them sent out. And for people who are submitting their renewals, they tend to do that as soon as possible because they realize it takes SMOC months to review them and get things processed. The one issue that I have seen recently is I've had a couple of people come to me with last year's applications still up in the air. SMOC contacted me at the end of July stating that they were still processing applications and they needed more information from me on several of them from residents to actually process those. And the residents who came to me recently had said that they got their fuel assistance. They were really grateful that they got, the amount that they got. But these, because it's fuel oil, they had already expended funds to purchase that fuel assistance. And they were dismayed that the extra funds was appropriated to the CELCO, the electric utility bill. And so that's what SMOC tends to do, is that if there's any overage that hasn't been used during the heating season, they will apply those funds. However, for people who have expended funds for fuel assistance through the heating season ending April 30th, if you have receipts for those funds that you expended, you can submit those to SMOC, and they will actually apply that to and send you a check for those funds that you expended. So I hopefully I'm not saying it in a confusing way, but for some people that didn't quite work out, and that was the problem.
Were they aware they could do that?
I don't think that they were aware, and I'm not sure that they were made aware. I think CELCO just automatically rolled it over to their electric utility, and I think that's a problem because when applications are being processed so late, how are people then able to determine whether they can, take the funds that they already expended and submit those to SMOC, and especially if it happened after April 30th.
Do all applicants go through you, Renee?
No, they actually also go through SYFS, and Jen Rifkin over there has found the same problem.
I'm wondering if there could be some sort of a informational sheet that was given to each applicant when they applied, letting them know that this may be an issue and how to resolve, whether it's resolvable, I don't know, but.
Yeah, so that should be something put out by SMOC, because the decisions that get made there, we're not always aware of how or when they're making these decisions until the problem crops up. We did have a meeting that Senator Moore facilitated. That was toward the end of the season, and I think that we we got some clarification on some issues, but that wasn't one of them at that point.
So how should we move forward to try to rectify the situation?
I guess I almost feel like we need another meeting with SMOC.
All right.
So, yeah. And especially going into the new heating season, depending on how many applications they get, it could get, more complicated at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alex?
Honestly, I don't know how you do everything that you do, but in this specific case, how did they know, how is this program publicized?
So we publicize it in our newsletter monthly. It's probably, I'm sure it's publicized through Elder Services, with
Okay.
their consumers. So,
I think it's also noted from time to time in the Community Advocate.
yep,
Okay,
yeah,
I knew I'd seen it. I know I've seen it somewhere, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
thank you.
You're welcome. And we do have a number of programs going on this month. Tomorrow, Compassion and Choices is going to be making a presentation on how to do your advanced directives. And I'm sorry, I actually misplaced it and didn't put it in the September newsletter. So I will have it on the board as people walk in. The flyers have been going around in any case. We're also having another program on September 20th, Strategies for Better Balance and Fall Prevention, that I'm going to be presenting and hope for Falls Month. And we're also starting the fourth session new nutrition series by University of Mass Extension on September 19th. So,
Busy.
yep, a lot of great programs.
Are people enrolling ahead of time for these programs?
So there's no enrollment requirement, but some people have assumed that, and they have called me and said, we want to register. A lot of people are showing interest, especially in the
good.
nutrition program.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the stuff you do.
Actually, she forgot to mention that she was asked by MCOA to speak at this year's conference on her respite program.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yep,
congratulations.
one of 5 people. A 10-minute presentation.
That's
so.
great.
Yeah, basically the program and what we learned from it, and
Yeah.
any advice to give people who are thinking of starting one. So,
Awesome.
thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Okay, senior center update. We have lots of updates.
We have lots of updates, yes. We'll begin with the patio. So I did meet with the building department the other day. The patio the install will actually begin at the end of October, perhaps first week of November. So Casey and I will start coming up with some ideas for the patio and proposing them to the board. So we'll be able to utilize that space in the spring. Very much looking forward to that.
What amount of money, we had allocated 40, or we said we could spend up to 40,000, and what is the cost coming in at?
The cost, the bid that won was $29,900.
So what has happened to the other 10,000 that was allocated?
So that will just be part of the formula grant. that-
Okay, so
yeah.
that's gone back into it.
Yep.
Okay. Just in relation to the patio, I know there had been a lot of requests for the raised beds. Can that be incorporated into somehow the construction or the structure of what happens with the patio?
Yep, so not at the time of the build, but certainly once it's up, we can talk about what we want to include on the patio. So we had taken out, because the raised beds made out of stone were going to be so much money that we had taken that out of the plans. So it is just the patio, and then we can design it as we see fit once it's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
What size is it and where is it in relation to the senior center?
I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it will be over, right in front of the senior center. There's a light post right in the front, so it will go, I think, just about to the length of the lamp post out there. And it will be attached to the bricks, the patio bricks that are already out there, to make sure that's an ADA surface.
Thank you.
This doesn't give the size on it, Raquel, but I can certainly, this was just a proposal. I can send it down if you
Yep.
want to take a look at it.
I will.
And this is not what we've ultimately ended up with, but at least it gives you an idea.
Oh, what contractor did we end up
I
with?
think they're from Rhode Island. I don't remember.
That's just curious.
Yeah, I don't remember their name. So the next on the senior update are the volunteers. So as you've seen in the emails, and I've shared information, we came up with the volunteer appreciation brochure, because we are noticing a decline in our volunteerism at the senior center, not only with the COA department, but with Elder Services, Meals on Wheels, drivers, kitchen prep. So we figured that here we are looking to support our seniors, all of the volunteers that we have, and we have almost 100 of them, that it was time to really appreciate the work that all of our volunteers do, because quite frankly, as we all know, we couldn't do it without volunteers, as you are all volunteers that are sitting with me today. So we did the Woo Sox tickets. In October, we're planning to do something a little smaller scale, and we're planning to do little s'more individual packets to send just with everybody as a thank you. So each month won't be as extravagant as Woo Sox tickets, but a little something to say thank you. Besides that one, we were only having that one volunteer appreciation luncheon, and we felt it was time to do a little bit more. And it could be a card, it could be an ice cream party. So what we're also doing is we're going to the Shrewsbury businesses, and it doesn't have to be a Shrewsbury business, for looking for additional support. So for instance, we received a couple of $50 gift cards to Tavern on the Square here in Shrewsbury. So with those, what we'll do is we'll draw a name out of the 96 people that we have, and that person will then receive the $50 gift card. We also, the town country shop here in the center of town has offered to do 15% off a purchase for any volunteer. So Casey and I are either going to make all of the volunteers a card that you would then go into the shop, or the shop will give us cards that you all can use, and we'll make sure that everybody has them. We're still working with them. So we're hoping that other businesses in town or nearby communities will hear of our program and make some incentives for the volunteers that we have for Shrewsbury.
Are you finding fewer people are volunteering?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Has there been a significant decrease over the past year?
I wouldn't say significant to the COA department, but certainly to our Meals on Wheels and our congregate dining area. They seem to be struggling. And I think that part of the reason is, it is an early morning volunteer. It can be quite tiresome. It's a lot of work, right? So we're really pushing to try to help ESWA get the volunteers into the senior center, because, and Jean, as being a driver, you're out for a couple of hours, and you're also doing, with the delivery of the meal, you're also doing wellness checks and reporting back. So it's a lot, and I thought it was time that we do something a little higher scale to support the volunteers that come into the senior center.
Mina?
So on the lines of respite scholarship program, does it help if we allocate some money for the volunteers itself? So say they also receive some money at the end of the year for their services as some kind of incentive.
So years before I came on to Shrewsbury, I believe the drivers were getting a stipend, but the town manager had put a stop to that, because then it would be a paid position. And with that, and again, this comes out of ESWA, so per our contract, we cannot pay their volunteers. I actually had to work with them very, very closely to be able to even be able to incentivize them with the things that I've just suggested, because it goes against the contract with ESWA.
Renee?
So, I guess I'm not sure how it works, but I kind of wonder whether there is not quite the understanding about how volunteers and a stipend works, because in my previous position at Bay Path Elder Services as the Healthy Living Coordinator, we had volunteers that we paid in a stipend. That would be like a 1099, and as long as we didn't go over $600, that would be a taxable amount. That's how we structured it. So there was no issue with being able to pay a stipend for volunteers. They were not considered employees.
Just speaking as a Meals on Wheels driver, when I initially started, there was a stipend being given, and Elder Services, which oversees that program, changed that, and drivers now can do mileage reimbursement.
Okay.
But that's the only amount that's being given to the volunteers.
I would expect that that's the biggest driver is the cost for people to drive. On the other hand, if you have to submit your reimbursements all the time, I don't know if that's a deterrent or if it's better to have just a set amount given as a stipend. I don't know.
We submit once a month, so
Okay.
it's not, for me, it's not
Not
an issue.
burdensome.
I don't know if yes. Raquel.
Is there a way to put the information about the need for all the volunteers in the newsletter?
Yes, so we,
Like-
Yes.
Okay.
yep, so we have done that before, and I've tried to break it down so anybody that might be interested in volunteering can better understand, because it's the kitchen staff too, right? Because it's, in the newsletter, I was trying to break it down to the point where you come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, you will either be working at, being overseen in the kitchen area or in the dining room area. There's two different kind of tasks, if you will. You could work up to 2 hours, you could work up to 4 or 5 if you wanted to stay for congregate. So I was trying to break it down so they could get any kind of volunteer that came in. It starts to work, and then I don't know if it's the process of application, because they're technically not our volunteers, even though they're under the umbrella of the senior center, so they're under ESWA observation is what they are. They are such a crucial part of the senior center, the volunteers that work out of the kitchen, because they push out roughly 300 meals in a month for the Meals on Wheels drivers. I don't even know how many routes there are. I think there's like
5 routes.
There's 5 routes at 30 stops.
Well, each route is different.
Yeah.
It varies.
Yeah. So long and short of it, like I said, we saw the shortage coming, and we're doing everything that we can to try to support the initiatives of the ESWA and the Meals on Wheels and the congregate, and that's where we came up with this program.
And I know there's an issue with if we're going to continue with free congregate dining, the issue is, do we have enough volunteer staff to allow that to occur?
Because I had talked with ESWA about when we talked about in June having the congregate be free all year, all of the time, and that would bring in roughly 45 to 50 people that could sit in the dining room. And unfortunately, they just don't have the staff that stays as long as is needed, because that's up until almost 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, to take care of 45 diners. So it's difficult. I did tell them that we would still like to propose perhaps feeding through the winter to get people to make sure that they're eating. And they didn't have a problem as long as it wasn't long-term.
Renee?
I'm just wondering how aware people are in the community that they could volunteer with it broken down that way, 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever. Like, I don't know how much that's marketed to people and how much they know.
So can we do some marketing? Can we maybe do a blurb in the community advocate? Advocate or advertiser? I don't know which one it is.
Advocate.
Just sending out something from the Council on Aging. I'm sure that we could write something up that would,
Call for volunteers.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, just a promotional item that could be submitted to, it can go into, I know we always say we need volunteers in our senior edition, but.
And with a reminder that you don't have to be a senior to volunteer at the senior center. There may be people who are available in town who are free, who'd like to give an hour or two. And I think if you quantify it too, we're not looking for, every day for 5 hours. But you don't have to be a senior to help out at the senior center. I think that would be
Yeah.
important to remind people as well.
And I know other volunteer organizations will do a lot of posting online, and they will ask specifically for what they want, what the job entails, and how long it will last. So if we could incorporate that into some sort of a promotional article, that might help a little.
So,
Other questions,
sorry.
comments on this issue? Okay, go ahead.
So the next one after volunteers is sponsorships. So we talked a little bit about the business sponsorships, but one of the other things that we've started to do, Casey and I, is like whenever we're going to have an event or a program at the senior center, whether it be a movie or anything like that, we've been utilizing our partnerships. So it could be Benchmark or Shrewsbury Nursing Home, that they'll come in and either support us by giving us snacks or ice cream and things like that, so that way we don't have that expense, but it also shows that we're supporting the people that are supporting us. So that seems to be working out well. As a matter of fact, we're getting more demands than we have programs, so I think we have to kick that into gear a little bit. Moving on, YMCA update. So we had the $15,000 allocated for the YMCA project, and that broke down to 50 Shrewsbury seniors. We actually got 51 because one was eligible through their insurance to do the silver sneakers that they weren't aware of. So we have the 51 people utilizing the YMCA membership from October to March this year.
Where was that advertised? I mean, how did the seniors,
Newsletter.
Everywhere. I put that everywhere.
Yeah.
With the dates, when you need, where you need to be, and
oh, really? I
Yeah.
missed that one.
It was in almost every single newsletter.
When you could
Places to
register
sign
for
up.
it?
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, Facebook,
Yeah. Yeah.
online. Sorry, Jean. And I will tell you that even to this day, we are getting people that just want to thank us for providing that opportunity, because we did receive a couple of, comments of why can't people pay for this themselves? Why, this, that, the other thing. And I took the opportunity to sit down with people to kind of make them understand where we came from for the idea to support, healthy living during the winter months when you can't get outside or anything like that. So, but the people that did sign up, I'll tell you, they are so grateful for these opportunities, and they really appreciated the way YMCA came in. It was not difficult to sign up at all. It took 2 seconds. They understand the policies that they have to attend a certain amount of time each month. And YMCA will follow up with us on a monthly basis to let us know how many people are showing up and, how often and things like that. So super happy about that.
I think an added benefit of that too was that probably others came into the senior center who had not come in before. And in fact, in talking to some of the people who were doing the registering from the Y, they actually said that that a number of people came and they found out that through their insurance they could use the Y membership. So these were people who were unaware that they could take advantage of that, and I thought that was another positive thing too.
Good.
Yeah.
Next thing is veteran gift cards. I'm gonna send that over to Casey to give an update.
Sure. So we did the veterans gift cards. We did the 20 gift cards with Price Chopper and 20 with Market Basket. We started distributing them to veterans in Shrewsbury on, I think actually July 13th. We have 4 Price Chopper gift cards left, and that's it. We did take some demographics. All but one of them were over 70. And that one that isn't over 70 was 64. So it was all seniors. Market Basket was obviously a big hit. We ran out of that at the end of August, I believe. And all were male veterans also. So.
Questions, comments? Is it very successful? Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
So we had talked about looking at how much we would need to budget for that. Are we looking at sustaining what we have? Is that covering?
I don't.
You mean to go forward with it
Yes.
again?
Yes.
So we hadn't talked about that. We were going to wait to see what the results were moving forward. We certainly could support them again if we wanted to. Don't forget, we are doing a veterans luncheon in November on the 9th. So that would be, I would look to the board for a discussion.
Maybe we could do something at the Veterans Luncheon, a raffle, and raffle off some gift cards, or
Correct.
use that opportunity to let people know that they're available. And
So,
I know raffling them off is a different criteria
mm-hmm.
from,
yeah, so I don't know about the raffle part of it. And the only reason why I say that is because of the fact that I'm just trying to imagine purchasing gift cards and raffling them off at the Veterans Luncheon and not every veteran having one. I don't know that I want to be put in that position to not give everybody one, and we are making it so there are 50 veterans that can attend luncheon. A loss of words today. I don't know what's going on. My suggestion would either be that we fund another $1,000 worth of Price Chopper and Market Basket gift cards, or maybe just Market Basket, because they went quick.
Yeah.
Or right now, they can still come into the senior center because the veterans, what's the Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Legion, they have still been supporting gift cards at the senior center, and we still have an abundance of
Okay.
those. So
Well,
perhaps
yeah.
we can, month to month, kind of do a check-in with the Veterans Legion to see if they're running short, because originally that's why we had put the $1,000 out, because they couldn't fund it anymore.
yeah, Renee?
I have another thought, and I know a lot of the things we do are good marketing for the senior center and trying to get people to come to the senior center, but I'm wondering whether doing broader veterans outreach with the gift cards might be something to consider, such as during our Human Services Leadership meeting, Jeff was saying, we were talking about how are people obtaining food from the different food distribution areas. And I guess the veterans have, I think, 1 or 2 places where they access food at their food pantries. And I'm wondering if that might also be a place we might consider distributing gift cards for food.
If we have extra funding, particularly with the formula grant increasing its allocation per senior, I think it's a worthwhile use of the money because they're very needy.
Yeah, and it would actually make those veterans aware of services at the senior center, because from what I understand, there are a lot of veterans who don't come to see Jeff at the senior center, or I don't know. I think it would be more outreach services that way, and making them aware that they could come here. So I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Do we have any idea how many veterans we have in Shrewsbury?
Oh, we did have a number. Do you remember?
I'm sure I can find it. in
You
my
said
previous
50 are not
notes.
coming to the luncheon, so I was trying to figure out how many.
Right, well, there's 50 spots available, and it's actually like 25, and we allow a veteran to take a guest.
Okay.
Yep. I believe, I want to say it was just over 1,000.
Oh, wow.
1,070 veterans
Really?
in Shrewsbury.
Oh,
And that could be active or non-active at this point.
Actually, I'm wondering how many of them are women. It's really sad that they say that statistics are that women veterans take a lot less advantage of veterans benefits. They're just not aware somehow.
But we don't have that
I
data.
think of the senior veteran population, it's probably primarily male, because that's the generation where
Yep.
women weren't really.
Most likely, yeah.
So maybe up-and-coming veterans, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word, there might be more of us.
Well, also don't forget there were probably a lot of medical personnel that women served
Yes.
in that capacity.
Yes.
So.
1,087 veterans in Shrewsbury.
Oh, you were right on.
What's
I
our
knew it was in here.
population's about 30,000?
Almost 40,
In Shrewsbury?
Yeah.
Close to
But
40.
of seniors, we have somewhere close to 10,000
Yeah.
seniors. hmm
how much?
10,000.
Around 10,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Senior Heroes Awards, so I don't have the names in front of me, I don't know, Casey, if you can pull them up, but I did mention that with the survey that we took, even though we had 4 different categories, only 2 of the categories were actually utilized. One was the social development, and the other was the health and healthcare. And unfortunately, we only received 5 nominations, one being the group of the St. Anne's volunteers. So what we did was we took the other 4, and we're giving 2 awards of the same category to 2 different people. I have to tell you, in all my years of being able to call somebody and tell people that they were nominated for, their volunteerism, the response I got from all 4 people was overwhelming. It almost makes me want to cry right now, but I thought it was going to be better received, the whole program, the whole opportunity to do this, so that was definitely disappointing to me. But so thrilled that I still had 4 people that I could tell that they were nominated for all of the things that they've done. So that we will be celebrating the nominees on September 26th, Tuesday, beginning at 6 o'clock. I do want to just mention that the select board has a meeting at 7 o'clock, so they are only able to stay until 6:45 at the very latest. So we'll probably get right into the ceremony part, probably about 6:15, so that way the select board has the opportunity to sit and congratulate everybody and take, their appreciation. Senator Michael Moore is coming, and he's also going to give a citation to all 4 nominees, as well as Representative Hannah Kane.
Holly, will it be filmed and posted to Shrewsbury Cable?
I am definitely going to see if they can. Hopefully they can.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too disappointed that you didn't get the response you hoped for this first time out. It's brand new.
Right.
And I think now you're kind of laying the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a wonderful ceremony on the 26th planned. Put it online.
Yep.
Let people see and begin to build the competition.
So one of the things, so we are doing the ceremony that evening by invitation, just to control the amount of people that show up, because we will have hors d'oeuvres, appetizers, and we did let all of the nominees know that they could invite their friends and family into it. So, you know, I want to make sure, like I said, it's a controlled environment, but
Yeah, it should be.
so we did invite, obviously, the COA board, the town manager's office, the select board, and as well as the Friends. We wanted the Friends there too, if they can make it. So we're expecting probably 60
Yeah.
people at least will be there.
Do you want the names?
So I know there was an issue that came up because a group
Yes.
had asked
Mhm.
or had submitted a nomination.
Mhm.
Do we need to look at adjusting the criteria in any way so that it either is more inclusive or it's more specific?
So with some of the responses that I got based on the email that I sent out, you know, the fact that this was set up for one individual, not for groups, perhaps this is something that we can look at in the spring and open it up to groups of people to recognize. And then my thought would be to recognize everybody, not just,
Well, how did we resolve the question? Because what happened was you sent an email and blind CC'd everyone.
Right.
So I sent my comment, but I don't know what everyone else said, and I don't know how it was resolved.
the majority of the responses that I received was in support of also recognizing this particular group.
So are we recognizing them?
That is, I would certainly like to, in a different fashion, not on the evening of the Heroes Awards, though.
Oh.
But I think that there's another way that we could do it. I was actually thinking because, like I said, this was set up for individuals, not groups. But the fact that we did get a group nominated, that we could recognize them perhaps, you know, at a continental breakfast at the senior center and have them come in on a different day, that they're not working at the food pantry and things like that. So I haven't really given it much thought beyond that without talking to the board first.
I think that given that this is the first time that this is being rolled out and it's a new concept and a new program, it would be reasonable for us to kind of evaluate what we did, look at what's working, look at what we might want to modify, and then make recommendations to change the criteria as we go forward. And I would be in support of changing the criteria
Okay.
to be a little more inclusive.
Judy?
Never mind. I'm withdrawing my comment.
Okay, well, so all we would need to then do is look at what has been established for criteria and adjust it to be more inclusive or either more specific for different categories, or maybe there could be a category just for groups.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I was going to suggest, a category for groups, but also, some of these individuals do volunteer for organizations, and that's part of what they're being celebrated for. And so maybe also give a good shout out to the group that they volunteer for during, the ceremony as well. I don't
Build
know.
more relationships.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason they volunteer for that group, because they recognize the value of the service that they provide in the community.
Can I,
Judy?
just regarding the awards in general, the focus was supposed to be people who foster diversity and inclusion, and I would just like to, going forwards, I would like that to be a specific focus, or maybe more of a specific focus, that the recipients actively support diversity and inclusion, maybe make efforts for a little more diversity and inclusion. I think that should be a focus if that's the point of the award.
Was that specifically the
Yes.
purpose of the award?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Okay, so
Holly,
that
can you
will,
say, can you, since that was
would
the
you like a
question.
motion?
Can you say specifically what the award was intended to, to support?
Well, so anybody that had volunteered and during their volunteerism have some kind of diversity and inclusivity within their volunteer work is what that was for.
So there is social development as one category. Health or healthcare.
Yep. The other ones were,
Culture and arts and public
Well,
service.
it was Shrewsbury Seniors for, hang on, let me just find the thing. Nominated, showing through their volunteerism that they value diversity and have contributed significantly to the inclusivity in Shrewsbury. So I just,
right.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's,
And I think that you'll see that the 4 people that were nominated have definitely shown that. The problem was, like I said, not all 4 categories were covered. Only 2 of the categories were
yeah,
covered.
that's, I don't think that's,
Yeah.
But as long as that's a specific category
Mhm.
that we can include.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Yahoo. I don't know how many board members that are presently on this board. Oh, Jean. When I first
remember.
when I first introduced Yahoo, and Yahoo is Young Adults Helping Out Others. This is a very well-received program that originated in Sterling. Sterling is presently the only other town that offers this particular program. And basically what it is it's a collaboration of intergenerational support. So what it is high school students, seniors, juniors, and a few sophomores would provide both spring and fall cleanup at seniors' homes, which would entail raking, removing debris, sticks, things like that. No power tools, nothing like that. So I've been waiting for the perfect time to bring this Yahoo back to life, and now that I have Casey and we decided to propose this to the Recreation Department, and with open arms, very few questions, they are very eager to support this program. So they have decided that they will take care of the student portion of this, and obviously we will take care of getting the seniors to participate in this program, providing opportunities for in-kind donations. So rather than starting saying, yes, we're going to use the formula grant, putting it out to the public saying, this is what we need to get this program started, which would entail a shed, gardening tools, rakes, things like that. So to include also chaperones. So what would happen is, in 1 month of a spring and fall, the kids would get together. Let's say we have a shed over at the senior center. They would come on a Saturday morning. They would all meet there. They'd get their schedule. Then they would grab their tools, their belongings. They get in the car, whoever's chaperoning them. They go to a senior's home. They work for about 3 to 4 hours, and they come back to the senior center. What does this do for the students? It gives them that community outreach that most of them need for their college resumes or for graduation. What does it do for the seniors? The obvious, right? It helps them with their yard work, and it provides that, again, that intergenerational opportunity that we feel that the town could really use. We receive so many phone calls from parents every month that says, what do you have that our kids can do? And we're limited. So we would like to bring this particular program to light, hopefully spring, I think is what we decided.
Yep.
So we're gonna use the winter and the fall to advertise, market, and reach out to local businesses, like I said, for in-kind donations of the materials that we'll need. We plan on following Yahoo exactly the way it is done in Sterling. And hopefully, after we join, maybe some other towns will do it, and it'll be a regional type of program, volunteer program. Any questions?
I have questions about the chaperones.
Mhm.
How will they be, or how will they be,
Vetted?
yes.
Yes.
Are
So-
we going to ask for Corey's? or-
Yes, yep.
We are,
Yep.
okay.
And I believe we can query anybody over 16 and over. So
Okay.
we'll even, we'll do the students as long as they're age qualified
And
also.
where will we find the chaperones? Are we going to advertise for them?
Yep, same thing that we do with the students, we will do then with the chaperones. In Sterling, what ends up happening is a couple of parents that usually would even drive their loved one to go work, they stick around. So basically when we met with the recreation department, it would be 5 groups equaling 25 students, 2 chaperones per group. So let's just say one of the students had to go to the bathroom. So one of the chaperones would drive them to like Dunkin' Donuts or something, and the other chaperone would stay with the rest of the students that are still providing the service.
Mina?
I like the program, but one question is like, say you have 10 seniors, but if you get application or request from, say, 20 seniors, how are you gonna filter out? Is it first comes first?
Yes, it will be first come, first serve. Yep.
No establishment of criteria for income levels or need? No.
Shrewsbury Senior.
Okay. And one of the areas which might make sense to include are the churches and the Boy Scouts, because they're always looking to have their teenage groups involved in community service, just to make them aware that we're offering this program.
Right, so this is not a combination with a Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. That's something different, because I believe their organization could put on
Right.
that same kind of opportunity if they wanted to. This is open to, again, any Shrewsbury student, senior, junior, or sophomore.
Do they have to go to Shrewsbury High?
No, they
Have
just,
to live
they
in-
have to live in Shrewsbury.
Lori?
Being on a troop council for a Boy Scout troop in town, and having worked with Girl Scouts, you can at least let those leaders know of the program, because they definitely have service hours for a lot of their advancement within, and also just to do good work. That's part of the whole motto. And most of them will be, at least the upper level. You can let them know they have to be the sophomore, junior, and senior.
Right.
But we have quite a few in the scout troops to do that. One other comment, once you get all of your equipment together, just having participated with my daughter's school programs that did something like this, make sure that it's all labeled Council on Aging, because a lot of people will bring their own,
Right.
From home, just to make it easier, and just to make sure that you can delineate by the end, which goes back to our program and what goes home with them.
Right, so one of the things that Sterling does is, so you'll notice that the colors are black and orange, so they will put like the orange duct tape and things like that around their materials, just so that's, not everybody does that, so that's how they make sure that they know what is theirs. But yes, I agree with you.
And I think with the churches in town too, they have so many youth groups that are always looking for community-based activity, service projects,
Right.
so. Yeah, I think it's a great program. I'm looking forward to seeing it being implemented. Are there other questions before we move to the next? Okay.
So strategic plan, I have reached out to approximately half a dozen different firms or independent contractors, and with no luck whatsoever finding anybody that has been able to assist us. I'm honestly not sure how to move forward with this.
The person that helped Shrewsbury with their strategic plan, is that individual not available for us?
I don't believe that I reached out to them. Actually, I don't even know if I have their contact information, to be honest.
Well, we can certainly find out through Kevin's office.
Right. Well, the other thought that I had was if we, as the board and myself, sat down and started to create our own strategic plan.
Judy?
We, like several months ago when it first came up, you had a proposal from some consultant, and the board tabled it because it was not in person. Is that something we want to
Yeah.
revisit, since we're out of other ideas?
I mean, we certainly could. So Raquel, just to update you, so a few months ago, we did find a strategic consultant, and they were unable to meet with us in person because of family health concerns. So the board had requested to try to find a different consultant who could meet with us and sit with us to better understand the Shrewsbury Senior Center and our initiatives. And I have been unsuccessful finding anybody to be able to come in. I even contacted the firm that did the towns, and unfortunately, their quote came back at like $30,000. So my thought would be maybe we could sit down first as a board to see what we can come up with and chop away with it at different pieces until it becomes something that we're successful creating. Or, as Judy just stated, reach out to that other consultant.
We do have the strategic plan that was 21-25. I can't
Okay.
imagine we couldn't just build on it.
So just,
We've got that already in print for the Council on Aging.
so now what I want to mention about that portion of the strategic plan, which existed before I came on, it also existed before the town went to performance goals for their employees and their departments. So the strategic plan was created as a working document, not a resource document, if you will. So, because now with the fact that all full-time staff have to come up with 2 to 3 goals per year, as well as I am responsible to give the department 2 additional departmental goals, I would suggest that we re-look at how we want our strategic plan set up. And my suggestion is to kind of follow suit to the way the town's is, because it's more of a vision with resource goals that don't have an end. So, because they keep going, because they talk about thriving, and for some reason, that's the only one I can ever remember.
I know when we were initially talking about the strategic plan, you reached out to board members and asked for input.
Yep.
Did you get any of it?
Not anything specific on how to set up the strategic plan or anything like that, no.
Okay. Alex?
I've participated in, I have no idea how many strategic plan processes, so I'd be glad to work with you. I think it's important. There's a lot to it, or there can be, especially since we're somewhat starting de novo from, and not necessarily using what was done in 21 to 25, but we would certainly have to build on what the town has done and meet with their goals, which are engaged and connected, exceptional, thriving, prosperous, sustainable. Those are the 5 labels. But we could meet offline and talk through that. I mean, it would take a while. It'd be an effort like the policies and project was, so.
Well, I know when Holly reached out to the board, I just did have a few thoughts about what we should incorporate into the strategic plan, and things like inclusiveness and innovation and community coalitions. I mean, I think those could easily be incorporated into
Oh, sure.
what we all see the future of the board.
I
Raquel?
think Renee was.
Oh, Renee?
Yes, I guess I have a couple of things that I might think about considering, and one is having, first of all, maybe reaching out to another smaller
Center.
senior center or council on aging, like Northborough or Westborough or something like that, not a city, and seeing who they used as a consultant. I wonder if that could be a possibility. And the other one is, how about having a subcommittee devoted to, working on the strategic plan from the COA board, and even having outside residents on the subcommittee who, that would engage the community in envisioning what they see for serving seniors in the community, serving themselves. And that could even include former board members like Shashi, if he was interested, or people on the Friends board or something like that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And may I add, I just did a quick Google search, and there are any number of templates, if you will, and ways to go forward with creating your own strategic plan, very much consistent with what Alex has just mentioned, and pretty clear.
I think Lori has.
I'm sorry, Larry.
I think one of the main concerns that a couple of us had with the person that was selected, that we received a contract from, was that she would, I think it was a woman, would not ever have even been in the location and wasn't planning to. And so I don't think you can really get a flavor of what we're all about unless you actually come, meet the people, see the location. And that really bothered me a lot, and I think it bothered at least one other person on the board. So I think that having, people who are stakeholders here help put it together just seems to make a little more sense.
I agree, yes.
I agree with, I'll put all of them together in a way. I agree, we need to be within the strategic plan of the town. So we need to kind of fall in with what they have, the 5 major points. And it won't be hard. We can difficult actually. We should look at the one we have something in place. The person that was here in March or whatever, that lady, did she provide anything? No. So I believe people walk the walk and not just talk the talk. They have to come here. If we bring a consultant, they have to come and look at us. Otherwise, how can they take their private experience? I create a lot of strategic plans for my hospital, but the thing is, everything is different. Maybe the idea behind it is great. I know these are the things that have to be addressed, but it has to be with the realm of what we are, the size we are, the population we have, and what we know has worked for this place in the last whatever years, and kind of build it. I think I wouldn't mind being involved. I'm really pretty new, but I just think it'd be a great way for me to actually learn and grow within the position. I think it's a very big thing to do for a board to create something like this that you have to stick to and you have to really be successful. So those are the things you have to be providing the service, being successful, and seeing what we have now and how we progress to the future.
So, Alex,
are we supposed to create one as a sequelae to the board's or to the town's strategic plan?
So I know that Town Manager Kevin Mizikar, his goal is for each department to somehow have something relatable to the town strategic plan. But the fact that the Council on Aging Department created one in 2019, I know that the support and the recommendation is there that this department has a strategic plan.
Okay, well, I would suggest that you and I meet in the next month and come back with a plan for approaching this.
plan for the plan.
And maybe this is the beginning of a subcommittee, and if so, so be it.
And I would also like to follow up on Renee's suggestion that we reach out to some of the other boards
I have reached out to
you
the
have.
other towns, and unfortunately, not many towns have a department.
Not towns, I think you were referring to boards,
COA.
the
Yeah.
COA board or the
Yes.
Friends or
Yeah,
anything.
I have reached out to all of our peers, and nobody responded.
Nobody had offers of a
No.
consultant.
Many people said that they are looking to do that themselves in the future, but not many people have them.
Okay. All right, then, yes, I would agree with Alex. I think if the two of you and Holly meet and come up with a determination of how to move forward at our next meeting. That sounds great.
Do we want to advertise for any community members who would like
Yes.
to be engaged?
Well,
we know what we
But that
want.
has to come
Exactly.
from the determination of how we move
Yeah.
forward.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, not yet, yeah.
Because there's a lot of stakeholders to include at some point.
Right.
So just moving forward, we do have an extension until 11:30. The next one is the MOUs, the Memorandums of Understandings that Casey and I have taken some time to create because we have so many things going on that need some kind of guidance. Any questions on any of the MOUs that I sent out?
Well, I thought they were well done.
I had
Yeah,
a question about the friendly callers.
Mhm.
And how will you determine if the senior wants to be called?
So we have people that we already call.
Okay,
They're part of the Are You OK program.
are you okay? Okay.
Yep. But one of the things that we discussed was changing the name Are You OK to Friendly Callers. Because in order for, I have put it in the newsletter before, and not many people respond to Are You OK? Because I think it sounds as though,
Sounds like there's something wrong.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and this all really started to escalate more during the COVID, when we started making phone calls to see if people needed vaccinations or anything like that. And while we were in the process of taking the requests that came in, many people ended up on our list of callers that we do every single week. So what we want to do is to be able to continue providing these phone calls as we do, but to have more people that we call. And in order to do that, we're going to need more volunteers. Because I would like to make some calls to, like, the people that are on Meals on Wheels and things like that. But we need to have certain guidance on what is expected to be asked and how do you report back? Because we did have a couple of incidences during the years of COVID where one of our volunteers didn't want to tell us what was going on, and that was not part of the program. That was not part of the expectation when we asked these people to call. So, which is why we felt we needed to put something in writing.
So do you need to address HIPAA issues?
So underneath Renee's overseeing of the program, for that, because she's working in outreach, people can discuss with Renee.
Okay. Lori?
The only other question I have is, are the seniors able to determine the difference between a phishing phone call and our good-intentioned phone call?
So what we have it set up so they receive phone calls the same time every single week.
Okay.
So if it's a Tuesday morning, that's when we make the phone calls. I think, Renee, you do yours on Wednesdays or Thursdays?
On Wednesdays. And so it's up to the individual as to how they want to be called,
Okay.
how often or when. There are some that request about every 2 weeks. Sometimes they might be going away and, they'll let their caller know, I won't be available. Or sometimes they just want to take a break, so it's up to them.
That's good. It's a nice program, I think.
Yeah, and very often we receive calls from people from out of state that want us to call on their loved ones that live in Shrewsbury because they can't get a hold of them for whatever reason. So we'll do wellness checks if we don't hear from them and things like that too.
Great.
All right, moving forward.
Okey-doke.
Excuse me, so are the wellness checks, the follow-ups, are they in person? Someone goes and knocks on their door?
No, so they're usually all by phone call, but if we
Oh, okay.
don't get anybody, like, let's just say we have somebody that we call, they know we're gonna give them a window, they're gonna call us, and we always say, we leave a message and say, call us back, because they know if we don't hear from them, they might get a visit from either Renee and an officer, or just an officer, depending on who it is we're calling.
Yeah, so really, it's not the kind of thing where, because it's not every day, that you're going to worry about finding somebody on the floor. It's more like a social kind of call, because it's not possible to worry about keeping somebody safe if you're not calling them every day.
I think it's a great idea. I know at home, I never answer or on my cell phone a call that's not in my caller ID.
Yes.
Because I get a million of those.
Yeah.
But so do people, the callers, do they call from their home phone, their home cell phone, or from the
So,
senior center?
so the caller is introduced to the person they're calling ahead of time so that they know who that person is and,
Okay.
yeah, yep.
That's good.
Mina?
So, I know, you said we have like around 10,000 seniors. So this program will cover all of them and you'll have a database of their phones and all and their approval?
No. So basically, people come across our desk from either people that call, like I said, that want their loved one checked on, or some of them came about because of COVID. Some of them were on the Are You OK program already, but we're just calling it something different to make it sound a little nicer. Or it might be somebody that Renee runs into from outreach. You saw the email I sent out about the Friendly Neighbor Outreach Program with the magnets and things like that, giving people an opportunity that if they had a concern for somebody in their neighborhood or whomever, but wanted to remain anonymous, they could use that survey and we'd get that information as long as they just have to provide the information of the person that they're concerned about. So to reach all 10,000 seniors, I know we've discussed this before, we do have the names of everybody that lives in town, but it'd be virtually impossible to call 10,000 people and just consider too that a senior is considered anybody 60 and over, and many people at 60, 70, 80s, and even 90s are still working and out and about, so not everybody would appreciate a phone call from us.
Yeah.
Okay, no, thanks.
Yeah, actually, this is almost like a chicken and egg situation too, because we'd like to have more people to call, but we need enough volunteers to call, to do that too. So,
Okay. We are now on Director's Report C, Transportation Mobility Management Model and Van Drivers. So we have been working with the WRTA, and we went to a different model called the Mobility Management Model. And basically what that is any requests that come into the senior center for requesting transportation within our zone, our travel zone, those requests now go to the WRTA. Why did this happen? Because I give all the credit to my staff, all of the advertising and the work and the great customer service. The transportation just grew bigger than what we were capable of providing. So now basically, like I said, somebody will call the senior center, and if you're looking for transportation, you press 1. If you're looking for the senior center, you press 2. Of course, with any new model, there's a couple of glitches that have happened. I know Raquel, you had trouble getting into the senior center phone line one day, and for the people that are making the ride requests, this is something a little bit different for them. But everybody is adapting to the change. Nobody's being refused any rides. On the downfall, we only have 4 part-time drivers right now, and these drivers are hired to work a maximum of 18 hours. I put in a proposal to the town managers, both Kevin, David, and Keith Baldinger, to ask for us moving forward to hire 2 full-time van drivers to drive just the WRTA vehicles, the 2 WRTA vehicles. This makes more sense for numerous reasons, but one of them being that to have the 2 full-time van drivers just driving the WRTA becomes more of a routine, more of a schedule, more of an understanding to these people that come in every single day, know how to get their schedule, and know exactly how they're gonna go. What are we gonna do with the 4 part-time? Well, once we get the 2 full-time, the 4 part-time will drive the 2 town-owned vehicles, and those vehicles will be used for leisure opportunities. It could be for a big event. We want to go to the beach in the summer. We want to go to museums. We want to go to Tower Hill Botanic. We want to do a lot of other things. So that's what our part-time drivers will do once we get the 2 full-time drivers. We have all of the resumes. Cynthia Willis, Transportation Coordinator, picked out of 30 applications, narrowed it down to 5 that we will be having interviews with in the next 2 weeks. I'm very excited about that. I know the van drivers, the part-time van drivers are very excited about that because right now they've gone above and beyond what they were hired for. We got approval from the town managers that the drivers could work up to, but not exceeding, an extra 10 hours per week for a maximum of 3 months. And without hesitation, the van drivers have literally just come forward and said, okay, we're gonna help you with this. But they're getting burned out, they're getting really tired. So the sooner we hire the 2 full-time van drivers, the better for all of us. But that is the update on the
And
transportation.
that will meet all our needs.
And that will meet all of our needs and then some, because we want to be able to provide fun things.
Alex?
So do the vans cross state lines?
No. I mean, we can take our COA vans across state lines. We can go to, because we've gone to Rhode Island before, we've gone to Connecticut before, we've done things like that.
And going back to the WRTA kind of changing the roles, are they taking over the scheduling of the vans
Yes.
then?
Yep. So they do the scheduling, they do the dispatching, they do the communication with the van drivers. What we are responsible is maintaining the number of van drivers that we have and the budget for them. So per our contract with WRTA for fiscal year '24, we are receiving, where is it, my notes? I believe it's $94,000 from the WRTA, which will pay for the 2 full-time van driver salaries. And we also have support, continued support from the Shrewsbury Housing Authority in the amount of $10,000 each year that goes into the revolving account that helps maintain the maintenance and the salaries of our 2 town-owned vans.
So has it already occurred that the that the WRTA drivers are now driving the Shrewsbury vans? And has that been working?
No, it's the opposite. So our drivers have always been driving the WRTA vans.
Right.
And they will continue to do that. So again, when we hire the 2 full-time people, they will be just on the WRTA vans because that is our first priority because of our contract. So the WRTA vans have to be on the road all of the time before our town-owned vans.
So the drivers of those vehicles will continue to be
Yes.
Shrewsbury
Yes,
employees?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're our employees. We are responsible to train them, hire them, and train, retain, and things like that.
Okay.
Any other questions pertaining to transportation?
Raquel?
So if we're gonna hire 2 full-time people for the WRTA, the other part-times that we have will be only responsible for utilizing the Shrewsbury van?
So our plan is for the part-timers to utilize the 2 Shrewsbury vans and to cover if somebody is
Okay.
sick, vacations, or anything like that for the full-time, for the WRTA vehicles.
So so let's say if the WRTA is gonna really do most of the heavyweight, the part-times, will they have sufficient work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So basically, since those other responsibilities have been taken off the plate of Cynthia, the transportation coordinator, she is then responsible to come up with the rides or trips that we are going to provide on our 2 town-owned vehicles.
Thank you.
Good?
Okay.
We talked about the congregate dining, supported by the COA. We're working towards that, so hopefully next month, I'll be able to report something different, that we've received more applications for Meals on Wheels and congregate dining, and we can,
What's holding that up is the availability of volunteer help.
yes. Yep. I want to make sure that E ESWA is secure in their volunteers before we put more work on them.
Okay.
The next is Minu, unless somebody.
Okay, Mino, you were going to
Update on
talk
this
about
right now.
detailing?
I lost that number, so I need to get that from, for the scouts, who could help, for the car detailing.
I'll have to look for it again.
Yeah, so yeah, because of the vacation and all.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So she does
I'll
not
follow
have an
up
update.
Next
Okay,
month.
so do you want to be put on the agenda for next
Yeah.
month to talk about that?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Activities Committee update.
Well, as you know, Arun is no longer with us, so he and I did not meet over the course of the summer.
Okay.
And at the end of the past work year, if you will, fiscal year, he and I presented you with the spreadsheet that we had created with the suggestions he and I had generated, and I offered it to all of you at our last meeting, and, asked if anyone had any other activities that they would like to be considered. Let me know. I hadn't heard from anybody, so we went forward with the activities that he and I had generated. And if you recall, we also had a proposed timeline, nothing written in stone, just these were suggestions that we passed along to Holly and Renee. And as I reviewed all of the things that are on our spreadsheet that are currently taking place, I have to say, I was really impressed that you have taken the ball and run with almost every one of our suggestions. I'm just looking, there's a bus trip I know that's planned. We had mentioned that, to kind of get people off the property, if you will, out of the town, to allow people to see something different. We had suggested financial planning activities. Those are taking place. You've got line dancing as a social activity and a physical activity. Woo Sox tickets, again, to create some energy and bring people out into the local community, the YMCA collaboration, obviously. You've got table shuffleboard, which falls within our suggestion to have some physical activities, the hot dogs and ice cream. The virtual activities, if you recall, we were informed that there's a senior at Shrewsbury High School who's putting together a compendium, if you will, of some activities which will be offered through Shrewsbury Media, through the cable. That was one of our suggestions that we had asked the Meals on Wheels folks, Jean, that you had spoken with. We got that back in our feedback. So those activities will be designed to engage, I'm reading her language, this is not my language, engaging YouTube videos, yoga, painting, and they're created by this Shrewsbury High School student. So far, almost everything that we had offered back at the end of the spring is being implemented. So thank you on behalf of all of the seniors in Shrewsbury. This is really, it feels like there's some real energy coming from the senior center. So I will meet with you and we can go forward and plan some things for this year.
Yeah, very good.
All right, sounds good. Is there any new business anyone would like to bring up? Old business? I just wanted to get a sense of how the new hours at the senior center were working out.
Pretty good. I would say that we've been trying to incorporate some things to let people aware that we're open later on Tuesdays. So we did a movie last week with pizza. So, again, the way through everybody's heart is through their stomach first. So we did the pizza. So we had a great turnout for that. I think that we'll probably see a little bit of a dip in the winter months since it gets darker earlier on Tuesdays. But the other thing that's been great too is that we're now incorporating the events that the recreation is doing outside of our regular business hours at the senior center. So you'll notice in our newsletter on the 2 pages where we talk about the programs, on the bottom of the right one, on the right page, I have included all of the activities that are happening at the senior center, but through recreation. And that tends to be a younger senior crowd, but it's very, very well attended. All of their programs are. We got a chance to take a look at the Tuesday evenings ones that they had the yoga. The yoga has since moved because we're loud when the senior center is open, and the yoga likes it quieter, so now they move to a different evening where there's not a lot of stuff going on. But I have seen, 10, 12, maybe a couple more or less, depending on what night it is, people coming in after hours. And I would say that the senior center is getting almost the full use. They're even open on a Saturday for a few hours to offer a painting class. I believe it's an arts class. But again, that's through the recreation department.
Good. Yes.
I have a question in mind in regards to the changes of the Friday hours. So I'm not really sure. The lunches are not provided on Friday?
Yes, they're just moved up a half an hour.
Okay, so they're still provided?
Yes.
Because I was concerned about the people not going to be able to eat on Fridays.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
We have maybe 5 minutes left. I didn't know if you wanted to just go over all the events that are coming up, the expo and the trick or treat holiday.
I'm gonna leave that to Casey, just so I can give my voice a break.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have the Artisan Expo that we're trying to get up, as Holly stated earlier. The reservations for the booths, we're looking to put that money into the revolving account to help fund that. That would be really great. We're hoping to have it in the beginning of December because we feel like it will be pretty popular at that time of year for the holidays. The Tricks and Treats extravaganza, that should be a lot of fun. That's on Halloween Day. It's on a Tuesday. It's in the evening, and we invite the community to come in with costumes. We're going to have fun things to do for kids and adults. We'll set up, the cornhole and have some pumpkins out potentially that are decorated by our seniors. We also we're trying to get folks to help us create cards to send out to homebound seniors. And it'll just be like a nice homemade card. We have all the crafts to do so, and those would go out with, like a snowflake ornament and maybe a candy cane or a hot chocolate packet or something like that, to bring them a little bit of cheer if they don't have a lot of support and might feel a little isolated. What else do we have going? We have the multicultural event. That is November 4th. So we're getting lots of responses for that.
We received 27 responses through the survey that Taylor Galusha put forward through the TM's office. And that's in collaboration with Recreation, Library, India Society, the schools, I think, and the schools. So there's 6 different organizations.
Yep. And then we also have the Alzheimer's Association fundraiser. So we're doing lots of different fundraising things, and we have, thresholds for fun activities to make people's day if we meet certain fundraising goals. We also have our own walk that we will start at the senior center and then just go walk past the police station to the fields down there, do the loop, and come back. It's about a mile. $10 to join that or sponsor someone to join that. And we also have flowers that we're posting with people's names at the senior center. So we have quite a few of those up now too, and those are $5. And folks can donate however much they want online or at the reception desk too. So
How close have we come to achieving the goal? Because I want to see what happens.
Which one specifically
When
do
we
you want to
raise
see happen?
$2,000.
we have not come anywhere close to that, unfortunately.
For those that don't
be
know,
fun.
either I dress up like a sunflower, or Casey and I get a whipped cream pie to the face.
Which one is it?
Well, it could be both, or you could get a luncheon, or an ice cream social. So it
Yeah.
all depends.
Yeah, so every $500 raised, Holly will dress as a sunflower, which we haven't met that yet. 1,500, which is our main goal. If we reach that, we'll have an ice cream social. If we get to $2,000 raised, we will each take a whipped cream pie to the face and probably video it and put it on social media for everyone to laugh at. And if we raise $5,000, we'll do a free luncheon at the senior center.
And to where would we send donations?
So there's a QR code on the flyer,
Okay.
which we can send out as well. or you can just come into the senior center. There's a little donation box, and
Oh,
I'm
okay.
keeping all of that separate as well.
That was in the newsletter too, correct?
Yeah. Yep. And posted on multiple Facebook pages.
Betsy, I know where you live.
Nothing.
And probably more things going on, but
Yeah.
that's it in a nutshell.
Okay.
I don't think you need an activities committee.
Anyone have any other new or old business?
Quick question, do we, or did we, RSVP to the 26th, the Senior Heroes Ceremony? Do you need an RSVP?
We
Were
were asking-
Supposed to have?
We were asking for an RSVP. We kind of just hoped that everybody would be there.
Okay.
I think only Alex is not, you're not around on the 26th, I believe.
Where is it
I'm
gonna
away.
be?
At the senior center, yep. The only other thing is, just as a reminder, the MCOA conference is coming up. So if you are interested in registering and taking a look at the workshops, if, I believe the expiration date on that is coming up also. You'll notice if you're trying to sign yourself up, by the time you get to the end and ask for payment, just keep hitting next, because what happens is they invoice the Council on Aging Department directly for that. It's in Danvers, so there's no reason to get a hotel or anything else like that. And maybe you want to look to see where Renee's going to be on the conference, to check that out.
It's actually on Thursday at 4:15. It's the last presentation or workshop of the
What day, what date?
Thursday,
Date.
September 12th. I'm sorry, October 12th.
October 12th, yeah.
All right, having no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is over at 11:30. Good job.
Fantastic.